saying a few words on behalf of the congregation and the staff to celebrate and give thanks for Barbara and Dick Iverson for all the gifts, time, and energy they have given this congregation. But before that, Aaron, would you please say a few words?
This has been such a whirlwind of a morning. To honor you and to celebrate you today is something we had to do. And I visited you, as I said from the pulpit, twice at your home, and to hear your wealth of knowledge about the history of MAPC. It's exemplary and it's amazing. And we're so thankful for your commitment to this church over so many years. And your work here will outlive your time here. You are people who will be spoken of, remembered, and your legacy exists. Fred Anderson, clearly you did a wonderful job, Dick. J.C. Austin has moved on to be senior pastor of Bethlehem, and Beverly Bartlett, we've been blessed by her ministry over 20-some years. Barbara, you clearly did a great job as well. I hope you don't mind, but I am going to have to move from one event to the next. But I just wanted to express my heartfelt thanks, and I really meant it. Each evening I've been saying my prayers, and I include this church in them each night. And I've been thinking of leaders such as you, who have committed so much time to MAPC over the years. And I really hope that during my ministry we can cultivate leaders just like you to continue the legacy that you are leaving behind. It's exemplary, so thank you.
So Beverly and I put our heads together, and we tried to think about all the ways that they have graced their presence with us among these walls for years. Both have served on session many times. Dick served as a deacon at one point, and Barbara served as a trustee. In fact, she thinks she was probably the first trustee at MAPC who was pregnant at the time. I remember a former staff member who once said to me, "If you have an Iverson on your committee, you're golden." I named this one, but here is an attempt to enumerate all of those committees. Personnel, buildings and grounds, Christian education, congregational nominating, worship and music, innumerable task force, mission reviews, capital campaigns, construction committees, and even the dreaded Committee on Committees. Dick chaired the PNC, as we heard, call Fred Anderson. And in fact, I remember Fred telling me that it was Dick who called him up in Harrisburg to give him that news. Dick also had a hand in shaping the musical life of our congregation. He served on the committee that brought John Weaver to this church in 1970. And then 35 years later, he was the co-chair of the committee that brought me to MAPC. And he was, in fact, the one who called me up on the phone to bring me that news as well, to offer me the position. And of course, Barbara served as co-chair for both of the committees for JC and Beverly. So an amazing number of things. For years, Dick sang in the church choir and in the St. Andrew Chorale, but I think the first thing he did coming to MAPC was to sing in the informal summer choir. And I think that kept him coming back from Sunday to Sunday. And Barbara and Dick also taught Sunday school. I gather that even Dick signed them up to both teach the kindergarten class for a whole year in the late 1970s without telling Barbara. And in fact, Dick and Barbara met here, as you heard in the sermon. And in fact, they met in coffee hour. So it just goes to show this is a wonderful opportunity to bring them many, many thanks, congratulate them and thank them and celebrate them for their service to this congregation here at coffee hour. I have a brief message from Beverly. She sent a message this morning that she's so sorry to not be here. She says, "It's hard to imagine what MAPC would be like without Richard and Barbara Iverson and all they have done for this church over the last 56 years. I came up with a list, then asked their daughter Laura what I had missed, and she came up with even more. As I have said to a couple of people, it's hard to come up with something they haven't done here. Barbara and Dick met at coffee hour in the parish hall before they became members of MAPC. And of course, they raised Rebecca and Laura and Dina here. And I think we can honestly say that they have had a major part in shaping the course of this church and making us the vibrant community we are today. Dick and Barbara, we love you. We thank God for you. And we thank you for all the years of commitment, energy, and service you have given to MAPC. You have gone above and beyond in fulfilling your ordination vow to serve the people with energy, intelligence, imagination, and love. We wish you the best in this next stage of life. Please know how much we will miss you. Few members of the congregation, longtime friends, who will also say a few words. So Judy Prince.
I don't know how I can top all of that, but I do know that I have worked personally with
It doesn't
I'm
have
not
to
sure
go
it doesn't
for
work.
it.
I don't think it
There
works.
we go, to get Beverly and JC here, and it was a labor of love that you made so much fun for us. And so I thank you for that, and for all the other committees I've served with you, particularly in Christian education. And Richard, the mission review that we wrote as a committee. Here, I know. You were spectacular. You had such genius and love and kindness in every single meeting, and I could not have done it without you. You're very special people to me and to this congregation. I don't know what we're going to do without you, so I'm going to wish you adieu and see you when I come down to visit my brother in Silver Spring. Thank you. Thank you for all you've given to us.
Nancy Nichols, who just recently retired.
Being in the communications field, I confess I am breaking law number 1. Never come without notes. But I have to just speak from the heart. I know that's right. But when Aaron asked me to be one of the 3 speakers today, my first reaction was, why me? Oh my gosh, why me? Honest. And then I thought, oh my, good little reminder from Stephanie. We have all been together for not 5 or 6 years, but 5 or 6 decades. And Laura was Stephanie's only real friend that she saw all the time when she came to her first birthday party up in her house in Bronxville. And Dina and Laura and Stephanie and their daughter Kimberly went through the Sunday school together. Laura and my girls sang in the choir. I don't know what happened to you, Dina. And Barbara and Dick and I have served on the church boards together and many committees. And I have to say, he stole my thunder, thank you, Andrew, because I didn't think that anybody else would remember committee on committees. But I think probably one of the last ones, Dick and I served on together, and it was a very serious committee. And David Reed was always there, and then Fred Anderson, and then all of a sudden it became defunct. I can't imagine why. And someday, if you have a few hours, I'll tell you about all of our tasks on committees, which were actually pretty onerous. I can't imagine coming to church on Sunday morning and not regularly or even semi-regularly looking across the church and see these 2 familiar faces. And I will never forget when my girls and I were on Ron's, for those of you who don't know us, my deceased husband's journey, which was long and not easy. And a welcome friend visiting us at the house in Westchester. It was an amazing experience all the time because it made Ron feel like things were normal. And one Saturday afternoon when Ron was, his mind was always absolutely fine, but he was having a particularly difficult time. Who shows up at the door but Dick? And sat there and talked to him, not about illness and heavy stuff like that, but just, with humor and love and friendship. And it was an amazing experience and made all of us feel better. So I can't say, I don't even like the expression, you're closing a chapter or you're starting a new chapter. I don't think that applies here.
I need to sit down.
It's more like just turning the page. And those of us, who can, or come by your way, drop on your doorstep, leave you unannounced to be good. And maybe some of us will bring our children, not so little anymore, but anyway. And I just have to close by saying, till we meet again.
Amen.
Finally, Anne McCord.
No pressure.
Okay. I thought they said, anyhow, I guess I'm a cleanup hitter, but
I'm just going to leave it for you to.
we go back a very long time. And I think Richard and I became elders at the same time, which is in 1973. And then a few other times since then, of course. But I can tell you some wonderful things about them. You've heard all the big stuff, but I can tell you that Richard knows more about pumps and the nooks and crannies in this building than anybody else, seriously. And he knows all the problems and how we have to deal with them and so forth. He's done that. Barbara has done all the educational stuff, and devoted Sunday school teacher and whatever that thing was when you took them out the service, and the Wednesday afternoon program, and she's done it all. And she also has been a key part of the racial justice study group, which has been very enlightening for all of us. This is almost too much for me to do today, but anyhow, we also attend the same little church in the country and have for 50 years there too. So anyhow, we go so far back, and everybody knows what they've done in terms of the committees and so forth. But to say that I'll miss them and this church will miss them is a very large understatement. They have well-furnished minds. If you ever want to scribe for a meeting at Richard or Barbara, it comes out in sentences in about 10 minutes. And the kind of job that none of us wish to do. But they have, mainly they have hearts and souls, and they have the faith that has sustained them and will in the future. So, sayonara.
Here this morning, in anticipation of Aaron's installation as senior pastor this afternoon. My experiences at MAPC began in the mid-60s, thanks to a postcard sent to one of my apartment mates. The postcard advised that the church's summer choir was seeking members without audition. And I thought that was for me. Joining the choir opened other roads, serving in the music committee, then session, then personnel committee, the committee on committees, the famous committee on committees, and finally, evidently, it's 60 years later, and Barbara and I are preparing to go to a continuing care community in Maryland, close to our youngest and our oldest daughter and and their youngest, and all their children, grandchildren, God bless grandchildren. Through the years, when I was a reverse commuter, driving daily into the New Jersey suburbs, many wondered why I didn't just move out there. MAPC was one of the important ties. That was page turning. Here we have found opportunities to grow in faith and service and join lasting friendships. And our daughters know this wonder, and the daughters know the wonder of a loving family. A loving extended family. Presbyterians often get a bad hand for myriad layers of committee work foundational to our organization. My advice in the face of that: join in and risk being surprised by the unexpected. The benefits of working with fellow members. That's my
Let's continue with Kate.